All right, in a way this is step 2 to the video I did previously, which was me putting the dots for the corners of the panels so I know where to line them up once I need to glue them down. Remember that you have A, B, C, and D. Please refer to the PDF PowerPoint if you forget which order they go in. Because specs for projects are important, please follow instructions because you don't want to get those points taken off inadvertently, because that's just never good. It doesn't reflect your actual skill level. It just says you can't follow directions or you forgot, which it happens to all of us, but try not to let it happen. So for this, I'm going to choose to use a glue stick for this one, and I'll glue down a couple of them. The thing to remember when you're gluing this down is you want to make sure it doesn't pop off. You also want to make sure that the corners don't bend up or tilt up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoot this over. I'm going to put this down here so that I can make sure that my glue has complete abandon to go off the panel if I wanted. I'm just going to make sure that I get into those corners. And I'm just going to go around the perimeter so that there's no bubbling. Just like that. A little goes a long way. I think one of the big things that students error on is they accidentally put too much glue, too much adhesive down. And as long as you can spread it out, like, don't worry about it drying on you. It should be fine. If you go too much, then chances are it's going to bubble or spill out, and that's going to look messy. And then I just like to put a nice X right down the middle, just like that. So if I were doing this with my glue stick, that's how I would put that on the back. Let's bring in my piece here. That also allows me some space that I can grip this without getting my fingers all sticky. Just like that. To the best of your visual ability, make sure that everything is parallel. And put it down. Take this and make sure that you, everywhere that you know you glued, so that X down the middle, all those edges, make sure you put some pressure and rub that down. You want that to stick. If y'all have ever used command strips before on the walls, you know that you need to make sure that you press for a couple seconds on that adhesive strip to make sure it sticks. All right, so now at this stage, I can take my eraser. Certainly having my kneaded eraser handy would be helpful. Unfortunately, I don't have it quite with me right now. I'm not sure that's getting in the corner. With your kneaded eraser, you can take that and mold that into a small little corner that would get that up rather quickly. This one's coming up right here. If you have an eraser that has a sharp point or sharp corner, like even your White's vinyl eraser or any eraser, even on the back of a pencil, just make sure by erasing that you're not decreasing the draftsmanship and the professional look, but you're rather getting in there in a detailed manner to erase away what you did for your corners. All right. So again, if it were me doing this project, I would go in again with another eraser that does a better job. This one has had some life, has had some life happen to them. So this is now my panel that is secured down on all the corners and on all the edges using a glue stick. I'm now going to do another panel on another side. Here we go. With rubber cement. So with this one, because this is a much larger area, I'm going to use the rubber cement brush that comes with it. And in like manner, I'm actually going to rubber cement right here on the Bristol board. Oh, sometimes a glob falls down. And that's okay, because then you just spread it around. Visually, don't go off too far from where you know that invisible line is between the different dots, okay? So don't be gluing way up there into the border. Try to spread what I have in a very even light coat all around. If you feel like you might need a little bit more because it's getting a little anemic in some areas, go ahead and add some. It's quite fine. Remember to make sure that those corners, don't overdo it, but make sure that the corners aren't going to flip up arbitrarily. Okay, looks good. The real test is it gonna get wavy? Let's align this up as close as possible. Notice that I now have another panel that I can judge that straight line off of. It needs to look very professionally uniform. You'll notice I did a little excess off this left edge. That's not ideal. That's poor draftsmanship. Squeezing this down. There's a little excess on this right-hand side as well, and down here in the corner, again, poor draftsmanship. But just because something goes awry doesn't mean you can't try to fix it. The nice thing, again, like I said about rubber cement, is once it's almost completely dry, you can take your finger and rub it away. Here we go. Super beneficial for a project like this, where if glue accidentally squeezes off the edge, you can wait for that guy to dry and just rub him off. There we go, and that's perfect right there. You can even take your kneaded eraser and use him to roll him off. It doesn't have to be your finger. If you need something a little bit more detailed than your finger, something a little bit thinner, or that can fit into a crevice, your kneaded eraser can help with that as well. All right. You can see here, it almost looks like it's coming up as little eraser bits, just like that. And again, I would take my eraser and I would erase those dots that I made. Just like that. This one is still there. I would need my kneaded eraser to get into that little crevice well, I believe. Yeah, he's not. But that got him up a little bit. That was better. Nope. And that is how you can take a couple different methods and glue down your panels onto the border that you signify, or that you place dots all around to make sure that you have that inch border all the way around and the inch buffer in between each panel. There we go.